At number 10, we've got Derek Mackay. Derek Mackay, he was the sleazy finance secretary who was sending texts to a 16-year-old boy on the eve of his budget in February 2020. The poor lad was bombarded with 270 messages over a 6-month period after he was contacted out of the blue by Mackay. The MP for Renfrewshire North and West had invited the youngster for dinner, called him cute, and some creepy contacts on Facebook and Instagram. When it was revealed, the scandal was revealed, Mackay stepped down from his cabinet role and was suspended by the party. At number 9, we have Patrick Grady. Patrick had his SNP whip returned to him last December after 6 months of suspension. Patrick Grady had quit the SNP group at Westminster after his 2-day suspension from Parliament, imposed after an independent Parliamentary Standards Commission found that he'd made advances to a 19-year-old man in 2016. The man whom he had made the advances said at the end of Grady's suspension it was a slap in the face to anyone who'd experienced sexual harassment. Grady, who was SNP's Westminster Chief Whip from 2017 to 2021, had sat as an independent after the Metropolitan Police said they were investigating the incidents at a pub in London. At number 7 comes the accusation that the SNP covered up misconduct probes into ministers. This happened after a bullying investigation into the former Rural Economy Secretary Fergus Ewan, and it's never been published what happened to that investigation after it was completed. The SNP claimed that doing so was not in the public interest, but critics have accused them of dodging scrutiny and refusing to come clean about their important issues. They claimed, the Scottish Government claimed that by doing so would stop future complaints being made. At number 6, we have the SNP's auditors who highlighted poor record keeping with a party deficit of £800,000. The auditor noted that during the course of the audit we identified the original documentation in respect to some items of cash and cheques received for the current and prior year relating to membership, donations and raffle income were not kept by the party. We have been unable to satisfy ourselves by alternative means regarding the completeness of income in respect of the above limitations in scope. Consequently, we are unable to determine whether any adjustment to income is necessary in the current year or prior year and the potential impact on opening reserves accordingly. At number 5, we have the resignation of Murray Foot, who was a PR guru for the SNP. Now, Mr Foot's resignation came after the leadership candidates Ash Regan and Kate Forbes asked perfectly legitimate question of how many people were eligible to vote in the upcoming leadership polls. The SNP rubbished reports that their numbers had fallen from 104,000 down to 72,000, and Mr Foot went on to say, acting in good faith and as a courtesy to colleagues at Party HQ, I issued an agreed party response to media inquiries regarding membership. It has subsequently become apparent there are serious issues with these responses. Consequently, I concluded this created a serious impediment to my role and resigned my position with the SNP group at Hollywood. Unfortunately, Mr Foot had told the press they were inaccurate with their claims of 30,000 drop membership, when in fact they were correct. At number 4, we have the complaint to the police about the missing money. The SNP had raised over £600,000, which was meant to be ring-fenced to go towards another independence referendum campaign. They raised this money between 2017 and 2020, but at the end of 2019, the party had less than £97,000 in their bank and obviously had not fought the promised second independence referendum, which was where these people's donations had went to. At number 3 in our list of shame, we have Margaret Ferrier. Margaret Ferrier was the MP for Rutherglen, who failed a COVID test, and instead of self-isolating, she travelled by train down to London, spoke in Parliament, and came home travelled on a train back to Glasgow. She was also later found to have visited not only Westminster, but had also visited beauty parlours, etc. after her positive test for COVID. She was prosecuted. She was found guilty in a court of law, where the prosecutor, Mark Allen, told the court the conduct had amounted to reckless disregard of public safety. Later on, Margaret Ferrier triggered a recall petition at the House of Commons, where she lost her seat, and in the subsequent by-election, the SNP lost. At number 2 on our list of shame is a former MP, Natalie McGarry, who may have benefited from £70,000 from embezzlement. McGarry was found guilty of taking £19,974 from the Women for Independence while she was a treasurer. She also embezzled £4,661 while she was a treasurer, secretary and convener of the Glasgow Region Association of the SNP. She was sentenced to 2 years at Glasgow Sheriff Court in June 2022, which was actually reduced by an appeal. However, during the trial, there was a draft £70,000 benefit figure, which came from a report drawn up by the defence accountant David Adamson. Mr Adamson was instructed to prepare the interim activity report by the Defence Counsel, Alan MacLeod. At number 1, and top of the hit parade of scandal, the SNP, comes Operation Branchform. Operation Branchform was a Police Scotland investigation into possible fundraising fraud in the Scottish National Party that was launched in 2021 and still ongoing today. The investigation concerns allegation previously discussed that £666,000 raised by SNP since 2017, specifically to campaign for a second referendum, was part improperly spent on other activities. The police would also been asked to investigate a loan of £107,000 made in June 21 by Peter Morrell, the SNP's chief executive at the time and husband to Nicola Sturgeon, the SNP's then party leader and the previous First Minister of Scotland. After a party meeting discussed the funding being looked at by the police, the loan was reported late to the Electoral Commission. The investigation has seen the arrest of Morrell, the former SNP Treasurer Colin Beattie, and Sturgeon in June 2023, all of whom were released without charge, however, pending further investigations. All three and the SNP as a whole deny any wrongdoing.